Hey everyone, it's Marcy here with PNS and Nina. Hope you're all staying warm on this chilly Thursday afternoon. I have today Stephen Ward from Authenticate. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Marcy.
For anyone out there, it's so interesting. I talked to Stephen a few months ago about his program, and then recently, this process has come up multiple times in different demographic groups that I've spoken to. So I thought, what better way to get the information out to anyone who's heard about this than recording an in the know? So here we are. So, talk to me a little bit about what Authenticate does and what the intention is behind it.
So we're a company that focuses on identity verification and fraud prevention. So we do that in a variety of ways. We give our clients the opportunity to prove that someone is who they say they are through means such as taking pictures of government-issued photo ID and a selfie, or a knowledge-based authentication quiz, or even logging into a bank account to confirm that you are the owner of that bank account and that the name matches the name that's being used. We do social security number trace, multi-factor authentication. So lots of different tools to confirm that somebody is indeed who they claim to be. And then once you do that, we offer more deeper due diligence and background checks in case you want to dig deeper and verify things like education, employment, professional licenses. If you want to do any criminal history checks or things of that nature, we're a one-stop shop for all your verification needs.
Now, for anyone out there, if you're thinking, wow, some of this sounds a little familiar, multi-factor, right? Authentication, KBA, biometrics, why would that be? Because really what we're talking about is that verification process that signers go through when we do RON or RIN, right? This is the process without the back end of it, without the signatures. So this is really authenticating that individual's identity. Now, I'm going to bring up a little bit about why, we talked about this to begin with, is that I was at a land title association meeting, and in there, one of the attorneys, the title companies, was talking about how their clients are now saying, hey, we need to run this on sellers, especially sellers who are not in the country, right? Because sometimes attorneys, title companies don't ever meet the seller. They don't come to closing. They're never in person. And so there's this idea of, well, we need a better system than just sending out documents and you sign them in front of a notary and you put your ID in there and send them back. Not that notary isn't deterring fraud, isn't doing the right thing. I'm not saying that, but this is an extra layer of protection. And so you might be thinking, oh, that's really a great idea, right? Out there, attorneys, notaries, and title companies. Also, I want to throw this out here. I don't know every form of ID out there that comes across me. I don't know every passport from every country or every driver's license. Like, this would also be a great way if I were a notary and I was unsure maybe of that documentation, or maybe I was getting a couple of red flags or just had kind of a gut feeling, wanted extra layer of protection. Would this be a good thing for a notary out there to be like, hey, let's just go ahead and get you authenticated through the system as well, to add that extra layer of protection for both you and for me?
Absolutely. We're able to verify over 7,500 different types of government issued ID from 196 countries around the world in 38 different languages. Our technology is going to examine the ID to make sure that it matches the template that we have in our template library. We're going to do over 50 forensic tests to make sure that it's not a fraudulent or forged document. And then we pull the data that's from the front of the ID, we match it to data that's embedded in the barcode. And then lastly, we do that selfie check, which is that biometric verification to make sure that the person who's using the ID matches the photo that's embedded within the ID as well.
So I know there's going to be someone out there who's going to be like, I don't like a third party having my ID and storing that information. If someone were to say that to you, like, I don't want you holding on to my driver's license or my passport, what would be the response to a question like that?
Well, we're a purpose-built company for securing the information that we're provided. We're audited annually for SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, which makes sure that we meet the 5 standard trust criteria of reliability, uptime, privacy, confidentiality, and security. So our system is very much bulletproof in the sense that we're also penetration tested and we're vulnerability assessed, and we aren't really susceptible to the types of hacks that might exist out there with other companies that fly fast and loose.
And you don't retain their information, correct? You're not holding on to a copy of their driver's license or passport.
It depends on who our customer is. I mean, we
Okay.
retain data for our customers' purposes. So if our customers want us to hold on to that data for them, we can silo that data. But if they want us to purge it, then we'll remove it as well.
I know there's a little report that they show whether they pass or not. So I don't want to get too far into that because I know you're going to show us in a minute. Now, the next question someone's going to have is, well, this sounds amazing, but like I can't afford this. Can we talk a little bit about the pricing?
Sure. Well, our web-based UI that allows you to be able to verify that the government issued ID is authentic along with the selfie match is $2. And the knowledge-based authentication quiz is $1, as is the bank account verification login is $2. So essentially, we give you the opportunity to prove that someone is who they say they are without having to spend too much money.
So if I want to just verify their ID, it's $2. There's no monthly subscription or yearly subscription. It's just a pay as I go, right? So today I need it. Maybe I don't need it again for 2 or 3 months. Maybe on one day I need 6 or 7. That's fine. It's really pay as you go. That $2, it's kind of an a la carte situation. I just plug in what I need and pay for it that day.
That's correct. It's a minimum, there's no minimum monthly commitment, there's no long-term contract. You simply put $100 into your account and we draw down that credit over time as you use it. That credit doesn't expire, but when your account is depleted, you would top up your account to keep it active and just continue to use it as necessary.
Amazing. All right. So uh, let's go ahead and start this demonstration.
Sure. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this is the backend portal that our customers use to log in and visualize the data of everybody who's using the system. If you wanted to send out a verification link for someone, you can just click on this verification link and choose one of your designated workflows. If you want to give them KBA only, or give them the option of KBA or ID, or you want to give them the option of KBA, ID, or bank account verification. What you can do is you can choose whichever workflow that you want to give them, and then you can pre-populate it with the user's information. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll just use my own information.
Now, what if I don't have this information up front?
You can actually leave this blank and they would enter it themselves when they were given the verification link. So
Okay,
now
great.
what I've done is I've just created a verification link, which you can copy and then paste into an email and send it out to them. Or if you wanted to, you can even have the system send the email for you. So like I said, choose whichever workflow that you've created. You can click the button to send the email to the user. In this case, I'm not going to fill in the information for the user. And then what this will do is this will create a template for an email that you can use to prove your identity and give the user, please complete this verification to prove your identity. And then
Now, they're just going to get a link. There's no special software to download or app it's just a link they need to click to get into.
that's correct.
Excellent.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open one of these windows and paste that link in there that I just created. And it just tells you your identity will be verified. We use machine learning and AI for forensic authentication. We're only using your information for verification purposes. This should only take a couple minutes. You check the box to agree to our terms of use and privacy policy. You indicate that you're not a robot, and then you click the authenticate button. So in this case, the user is being given all three of the options. As you know, the knowledge quiz is pretty straightforward. It gives you a set of questions that you might be familiar with, like which one of these streets have you lived on? Which one of these addresses have you lived at? What is the color of this car that you owned? Which one of these businesses are you associated with? Which of the following people is your relative? Right?
Hmm.
So that's one way of proving your identity. Everyone's pretty familiar with that. But then this is how you do the document verification. What this is doing is it's recognizing that I'm on a desktop computer and now it's trying to redirect me to a mobile device. Now, what I can do is I can text message any number in the world. I can email the link. I can scan the QR code using my phone, or I can copy and paste the link if I wanted to. So in this case, because it's easiest, I'm just going to go ahead and join this meeting from my mobile device. And now I'm going to share my screen on
So
my mobile.
lots of options for people who are maybe not tech savvy or
100%. And so now you can see that's my daughter in the background.
cute little baby.
Thank you. And now I'm taking a picture of the QR code, and that's spinning up the verification request. So now what it's going to do is it's just going to ask me to take a picture of the front and the back of my ID. We have auto image capture enabled, which is going to allow the user to be able to just use the video camera on the device in order to take the picture of the ID. You can toggle that on or off just so that they can use a regular camera if they wanted to, but I'll use the video camera for the sake of this demo. I hold the ID in my hand and it just says align the ID, move closer, not too close. It snaps the image. Then you have the picture of the front of the ID previewed. And now it's going to ask to take a picture of the back of the ID. And now I'm going to take a picture of the back of the ID. Same thing. Not too close. 3, 2, 1. Snaps the picture of the back of the ID. It previews that as well. Now it's going to ask me to take the selfie to compare it to the face that's on the ID. It's making sure that it's decoding the information that's embedded in the barcode, and it's cross-matching that with the information that's on the front of the ID. Now I'm going to put my face in the front, snap the image, check the box, and just as quickly as my face hits the cloud is as quickly as you'll get the result. And so as you can see, I've completed it in one attempt. My result is complete. 99% confident, it's authentic. It identified it as a driver's license. It has my full name, my address, my date of birth, what the ID number, when it was issued, when it expires. My liveness score is a 97. My liveness assessment is live, and my face match score is a 97. So also, if you wanted to download the images, you could download the images as well. And that way, if you wanted to keep them, you could keep them, but it's not necessary. You don't need to. And so that's pretty much it.
So can we just talk a little bit about like what a liveness score is? Like, is there a cutoff for those numbers?
Sure. What that's doing is making sure you're not taking a picture of a picture or you're not wearing a mask. So we're able to use what's known as single frame passive liveness detection, where it can measure things like in the background and depth of the individual. And it does a bunch of other forensic analysis to determine that it's actually a person whose face was taken, that was in the image, not just a picture of a picture.
Would that pick up, just because AI is all a, hot topic these days, would that pick up some sort of AI holographic generation as well?
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's meant to stop deep fakes and AIs.
So is there a cutoff for that number? Like, I'm sure we want somewhere in the 90s, but let's say it came back at like 70. Is that a concern for us?
Well, it just means that the person may not have taken the picture in the best settings. Sometimes if you're taking it like in front of a flat wall, there's not enough shadow, you can't measure your depth, then it's hard for it to determine that this is a four-dimensional image that was taken. But when it's taken with depth behind you and there's some sort of background, then it's easier for it to tell and you would get a higher score. So
Gotcha.
I usually recommend accepting a score of 70 or higher.
Okay.
And
Now, once they're all done with that and the results are in, do you get an email showing that? Can you log back in and there's a little report for you? How do you get that information?
yeah, so what'll happen is when you go back to the screen that you created the image from, the verification request from, what you'll see is I'm just going to refresh my screen. As you can see, it says Stephen Brandon Ward, status was completed. And then here you'll see all the information stored in your system. So it'll show you all the results, everything that was extrapolated from the ID. You can see a picture of the front of the ID. You can see a picture of the back of the ID. You can see the person's selfie that was compared to the face as well. So all of this is available for you to see, and our system will push a notification to you to let you know when that person's completed it.
Perfect. All right. It seems fairly straightforward and very quick, to be honest with you, right? So not super complicated for the person on the other side. Um, What other things should we know about authenticate or the use of authenticate in our daily practice, whether we're notaries or attorneys or title companies or anyone who has to verify identity, really?
Sure. Well, like I said before, we give you multiple options to use. So depending on the level of friction that you want to give somebody, we do also offer what's known as risk scoring. And so you could take a person's identity and run it for risk. So just to give you an example, using my own information and just sharing the my screen, right here, you can run a risk score. And what the risk score will say, okay, let's just make sure that we have the right name and address and everything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that we have the right address and city and state. So I'm going to update my information. I'm going to run the risk score. Oh, let me just make sure that I have the right street name. And I have very low risk. I have a 6% as my risk score. So what that means is that my city, my region, my address, my name, my postcode, all of that strung together and is associated with my information in the identity graph, which means that it's a real identity. It's not a synthetic or a fake identity. But what it says is that it's not sure whether or not that email is an email that belongs to me. So what you wouldn't want to do is rely on multi-factor authentication of an email address just to say, oh, well, he gave us his email and he verified that with a 6-digit code. So he must be who he says he is. If that came back as self as well, then that would be something that you would want to consider. So like using my own information again, what I'll do is I'll go back in, I'll add my phone number, and I'll change my email address to an email address that might be more familiar. Now I'm going to run the risk score again. Now my risk result is 9%. It's a little bit higher. And the email and the phone are both considered unknown. So you can't rely on verifying that email and that phone number as a way to prove that I am who I say I am. So we give additional tools to help people be able to prove that someone is who they say they are. If that came back as self, then you could use the multi-factor authentication that we offer to say, this is their email, this is their phone number. They prove that they're in possession of both that email and that phone number. So you might want to just accept that as proof of identity. But if you wanted to and you were looking for more insight, you could add different phone numbers. You can add more email addresses. And then you can initiate this additional level of verification. And as you can see here, it says that it's 95% confident that this email address, S Ward, is one that's associated with me as well. It also pulled up other information about me. It knows that I'm the CEO of authenticate.com. It found my X profile. It found my LinkedIn profile. And so it's enough to be able to say that this is an established identity of somebody, right? And so that person should be able to prove their identity to you.
And this is all pulling from, public record, right? Various
Right.
places out there. So I know some states like, ask to do a quick public record search to make sure the person is who are they or the person actually is. Like this seems like a super easy way to do that rather than you getting on Google and going in each place. So that's good to know.
Yep.
This was super helpful and I think really an amazing addition and tool for those of us out there who are, in the streets trying to verify people's identities, especially today where, there are just all these different forms of ID and, all these things going on that sometimes it makes it difficult, right? It's hard if the person's physical appearance has changed dramatically, right? They've aged or whatever that might be. Or, it's like I said, it's, a passport from Indonesia. I have no idea what a passport from Indonesia might look like. So this is super helpful. Thank you so much for talking to us today, Stephen. I certainly appreciate it. For everyone out there, I am going to put Stephen's contact information in the link below in the comments. Is that okay with you? So they can reach
Sure.
out with any questions or concerns.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Any parting words for everyone today?
No, I appreciate you guys watching and listening, and I just would encourage everyone to be safe instead of sorry and make sure people are who they say they are.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time again. Everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. As my staff always reminds me, please like, share, and subscribe because I always forget to say that. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.